Mom sent a message. We changed all the locks on the front door and also the gate code. We no longer trust you. I replied, understood, very smart, but I think you overlooked one thing. Then I canceled the $3,800 mortgage I'd still been paying, even after they said my sister deserved the house. 2 days later, their lawyer emailed, "We have a problem. Call immediately." I never did, because it was all ready. We changed all the locks on the front door and also the gate code. We no longer trust you. That was the message my mom sent me at 7:42 p.m. on a Tuesday. No hi, no we need to talk. Just, you're out. No warning, no argument. Just a message that turned me from son to stranger in 7 words. I stared at it for a long minute, trying to feel something. Shock, anger, sadness, but all I felt was tired. I typed a simple reply. Understood, very smart, but I think you overlooked one thing. Then I opened my banking app and canceled the $3,800 mortgage I'd still been paying, quietly, every month, on a house I no longer lived in. A house they now claimed my sister deserved. 2 days later, a lawyer I'd never heard of emailed me. We have a problem. Call immediately. I never did, because it was already far too late for them. 3 weeks earlier, they still smiled in my face. My sister still texted me like nothing was wrong. Ellie needs new cleats. Can you send $80? My mom still called every Sunday, asking how my week was going, then somehow steering the conversation toward bills, broken appliances, or how hard things are since your father's hours got cut again. And me? I still paid. I still listened. I still tried to be good. Even after they made it clear, I wasn't family. I was an account number. The signs were always there. The fake gratitude, the constant shifting of blame, the way my sister, Emma, would smile at me across the dinner table while sliding another expense my way. She's doing her best, Mom would say when I pushed back. She deserves the house more than you anyway, Dad added once. It was a throwaway line, offhand, casual, but it lodged in my ribs like a blade. I bought that house after working 72-hour weeks for nearly 6 years. I refinanced it to help them avoid foreclosure, paid the taxes when they forgot, took care of the plumbing, repaired the roof after the storm. And when my parents wanted to gift it to someone who would build a family in it, they meant her, not me. Emma, the single mom with 3 kids and 1,000 excuses, the real adult in their eyes. The one who once screamed at me in the driveway for being stingy when I refused to co-sign her 3rd car loan. And yet, I stayed. Not in the house, they made sure I felt unwelcome enough to leave, but in the loop. The group chats, the family dinners, the role of fixer, payer, peacemaker. Until last Sunday. That's when things finally snapped. That Sunday started like most of them. Emma was already in the kitchen, barefoot in leggings, sipping my mom's coffee like she owned the place. Her kids were screaming in the living room. I tried to ignore it, as always. I was just there to drop off a check. My usual Sunday tradition. $3,800, automatic withdrawal, mortgage covered, insurance covered. I handed it to my mom like it was nothing. "You're a lifesaver," she said without looking up from her tablet. Emma didn't even thank me. She just glanced over and said, "You should really start Venmoing it. Checks are so outdated." I forced a smile and nodded. I'll consider it. But inside, something cracked. Because 2 nights earlier, I had opened the family group chat to find this message from my sister. Since I'm the only one actually living here with the kids, Mom and Dad and I were talking, and we all agreed it just makes sense that the house becomes mine eventually. No one objected, not even my parents. In fact, Mom replied, "You've always made this place feel like home." I'd reread that thread 10 times since then. My name didn't come up once. I was the one paying for that house, but in their eyes, it already belonged to her. Still, I said nothing, because that's what I did. It had been 5 years since I moved out. My parents needed space, they said. Emma needed stability. And even though I paid for almost everything, utilities, repairs, lawn service, they acted like a distant uncle with a wallet. I tried to convince. That was it. I wasn't a son anymore, not a brother, just a donor, a placeholder, the guy who kept the lights on so Emma's kids could have a backyard birthday party every summer. And the worst part? I let it happen. I was the one who kept giving, covering taxes, quietly renewing the homeowner's policy, taking time off work to deal with roofers and electricians while Emma didn't have bandwidth. The same Emma who posted Instagram stories from rooftop bars, who bought her 10-year-old a $400 gaming console last Christmas and used my credit card without asking. I found the charge on my January statement. When I brought it up, she said, "Oh, I thought you said I could use that for the kids. You're always saying Christmas is about giving." No apology, no offer to pay it back, just entitlement. And still, I stayed quiet, because I didn't want to be that guy, the selfish one, the one who ruins the holidays or makes everything uncomfortable. But that Sunday was different. That Sunday, when my dad asked if I could float them another $6,000 for some urgent plumbing issue, and Emma laughed and said, "Might as well just put your name on our bills at this point," I realized I wasn't holding this family together. I was being held hostage by guilt, and they knew it. They counted on it. They built their life around it, and I had allowed it for far, far too long. That same night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling in my tiny one-bedroom apartment, the one I downsized to just for a while after they told me Emma's kids needed the extra space in the house. I paid their mortgage from here. I paid their bills from here. And while they were dreaming about quartz countertops and walk-in pantries, I was dodging overdraft fees. I opened my phone and scrolled through my bank app. $3,800, mortgage. $236, property insurance. $94, lawn maintenance. $140 for Emma's car repair last month. $450, the emergency birthday party Emma forgot to plan until the day before. And not a single thank you. Just expectations. I scrolled up to an old message from my mom. "Ellie needs new cleats. Please don't tell Emma I asked. She's stressed." Another one from Dad. "We hate asking, but the gas bill is overdue again. Can you help out this once?" From Emma, 2 days later. "Do you think I could put you down as a reference for a new credit card? They need someone with good standing." That was my breaking point, because 2 weeks earlier I had gotten an alert, a new credit inquiry. I dismissed it, assuming it was an error. Now I knew better. I logged into my credit report, and there it was, a card I'd never applied for, in my name, with nearly $1,200 in charges. Uber Eats, Target, Sephora, kids' clothing stores. I texted Emma immediately. "Did you open a card using my info?" The reply came 5 minutes later. "Oh my God, calm down. It's not fraud. I used it for family stuff. I was going to tell you." I didn't reply, because if I had, I would have said something I couldn't take back. Instead, I called the card company, reported the fraud, froze my credit, ordered every financial document I could think of, and sat there watching the life I'd built for them crumble in real time. A few hours later, the group chat blew up. First from Emma. "Seriously? You reported me? You're going to ruin my credit. I have kids, you psycho." Then from Mom. "Couldn't this have been a conversation? Why would you make this so dramatic?" Then Dad. "Call me now. We need to talk before this goes too far." Before this goes too far? They'd been bleeding me dry for years, and now, when I stopped the bleeding, I was the bad guy? I didn't respond. The next morning, I woke up to find myself locked out of the family calendar app. You know, the one where they posted birthdays, errands, family dinners, holidays. Gone. Then came the email from my mom. We've changed the locks on the front door and the gate code. Emma doesn't feel safe around you anymore. You've caused too much disruption. Please respect this boundary. Boundary? They stole my identity, emptied my savings, mocked me in private texts I later discovered when my name accidentally came up in a photo dump Ellie posted on Instagram. A screenshot of a conversation where Emma called me our family's emotional punching bag with a debit card. And I was the threat? I stared at the screen, then typed back one sentence. Understood. Very smart. But I think you overlooked one thing. Then I opened my banking app and canceled the mortgage payment. Just like that. 3 minutes later, I called the mortgage company directly and told them I was no longer legally responsible for the property, that it was a verbal, not contractual agreement, that payments would stop immediately. The silence felt like oxygen. The next 24 hours? Quiet, peaceful, almost too peaceful. Then the email arrived from a law office downtown. Subject: urgent, financial interruption on joint agreement. The message: please call us immediately regarding the home at address. There is an issue with the mortgage status and the deed. Your name remains associated. We have a problem. Call immediately. I didn't. Because by the time they realized what they'd done, I'd already frozen every account, already blocked every number, already printed every receipt, every Venmo transfer, every email asking for just a little help. This wasn't just drama anymore. It was war. The silence didn't last. 46 hours after I canceled the mortgage payment, my phone rang. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. 3 minutes later, a text. You can't just walk away from this. We need to talk. It's serious. 10 minutes after that, another one. The house is flagged for non-payment. Mom is freaking out. Emma says she'll sue. I almost laughed. Sue me. They kicked me out of the house, changed the locks, lied, stole, and now they wanted to have a civil conversation? I didn't respond. That evening, as I left work, I found Emma waiting by my car, in my parking garage. She leaned against the driver's side door like she owned it, arms crossed, wearing that smug expression I'd grown up despising. We need to talk, she said. I didn't stop walking. Move. She stood taller. Don't be a coward. I dropped my bag onto the pavement, turned to her, and looked her dead in the eye. You broke the law. Oh my God, are you really doing this? She hissed. You're going to play victim now? You've been helping for years and suddenly it's a problem? No, I said, cold and calm. It became a problem when you opened credit cards in my name. She rolled her eyes. For the kids, and Mom and Dad knew. I froze. They knew? You're lying, I said, even though I knew she wasn't. Emma shrugged. They told me not to tell you. They figured you'd overreact. I needed help, and you always help. You always come through. You're the stable one. Stable. Not loved, not respected, not family. Just functional. And that's your excuse? I said. Emma's tone turned icy. You think this house runs itself? That I sit back and relax? I'm raising 3 kids. You're alone in your little apartment. You don't even have responsibilities. I took a step closer. Emma, I paid for that house, for your kids' food, your heating, your parties. I paid while you bought wine subscriptions and spa days. Don't talk to me about responsibility. She flinched, just slightly, but I saw it. You think canceling that mortgage hurts me? She snapped. It hurts them. Mom and Dad are terrified. They said you've lost your mind. Good. Maybe I have, I said. But at least now I see you clearly. She didn't know what to say, so she turned the guilt dial up to 10.
"You're abandoning us," she whispered, "after everything." "No," I replied. "You abandoned me years ago. You just didn't bother to lock the door until now." I stepped around her, got in my car, and drove off. The next day, I received an email from the lawyer again. This time, the tone had changed. "Your parents have expressed that there may have been misunderstandings. They would like to avoid escalation and seek an informal agreement. Please call." Informal? I was done with informal. Instead, I gathered receipts, printed credit card statements, screenshotted every message, every request for money, every hint of emotional blackmail. I called a lawyer, a real one, mine. He read everything, all 26 pages. And when he finished, he leaned back in his chair and said, "You have more than enough to pursue legal action if you want. But I suggest one final confrontation. In writing, in person if you can handle it." I didn't want a dramatic scene. I didn't want more fights. But I wanted them to look me in the eyes and finally hear the truth. So I emailed my parents.
Yes, please, let's fix this. Fix this? You don't fix a burned bridge with good intentions. You fix it with bricks, truth, fireproof resolve. That Sunday, I arrived at the house I'd been paying for but not allowed into for the first time in weeks. The new locks were there. The gate code was changed. They had to buzz me in. That irony wasn't lost on me. My father opened the door. He looked older, smaller. My mother stood behind him, her hands wrung like wet cloth. Emma was sitting on the couch, legs crossed like this was an intervention. I didn't sit. "Thanks for coming," my mom said. "Let's get to it," I replied. She flinched at the tone. Dad tried the soft route. "We know there's been some confusion." "There's no confusion," I said flatly. "You used me, lied to me, took from me, and when I finally said no, you treated me like an enemy." Emma opened her mouth. I held up a hand. "No, you're going to listen." I pulled a folder from my bag, slapped it onto the coffee table. "This is every dollar I've given this family in the last 5 years. Every mortgage payment, every credit card transaction, every Venmo receipt." They stared. "This," I said, "is not love. It's exploitation, and it ends now." The folder hit the table with a sharp thud. No one moved. 26 pages of cold, clean facts. Years of bank transfers, email requests, group chat screenshots. My financial life bleeding red, in service of people who called me a burden. I stood there while they just stared at it. Then I broke the silence. "I paid for this house, every square inch, while you," I looked at my father, "watched football and pretended your retirement fund still existed." His jaw tightened, but he said nothing. I turned to my mother. "You told people I was cold, that I didn't understand family. You changed the locks and then had the audacity to ask for respect." Tears welled in her eyes. "We were scared. Emma said—" I cut her off. "Yeah, Emma said." I turned to my sister, my voice steady but filled with venom. "You used my credit, my identity, my generosity. You signed my name onto your debt and called it family support?" She stood. "I already said I was going to fix it." "No," I snapped. "You said I always help, that I'm stable, that I'd come through. You never apologized, not once. You just expected me to keep being your doormat." Emma folded her arms. "So what now? You're cutting everyone off because I used your name for one card?" I smiled, wide, sharp, bitter. "One card?" I reached into my bag again and dropped the second folder. "Try 3 cards, all maxed, opened in the last 9 months, under my name, my address, with your IP address attached to every application." Her face paled.
And here's the best part, I added, pulling out the final paper. This is a letter from the credit fraud investigator who confirmed the digital signature matches the one you used when we applied for the car loan 3 years ago. Dad finally spoke, voice trembling. This can't be right. Do you want to see the charges? I asked. Let's walk through the list. Target, Sephora, Uber Eats, flight to Vegas, hotel charges under the name Emma C. Ring a bell? Emma's voice cracked. I meant to pay it back. I needed help. You mean I was convenient? I said. You needed a personal bailout plan and I was dumb enough to keep playing the hero. I turned back to my parents. You knew, I said to them. She told me. Mom shook her head. We didn't know it was like this. She said it was temporary. Temporary? I barked. You told me she deserved the house. You said I was lucky to have a good job. Like that justified being milked dry. My dad tried to stand tall. Family sacrifice. We helped you when you were young. I laughed, loud, hard, bitter. You raised me, I said. That was your job. You don't get a medal for doing the bare minimum and then cashing in 30 years later like I'm your insurance policy. Emma exploded. You act like you're some kind of saint. You make money. You live alone. You don't have real responsibilities.
I've raised them more than you have, I said. I paid for their school trips, their winter coats, their goddamn dental work. And they still ask me why Uncle's not invited to Christmas. Maybe ask yourself what kind of example you've been. She sank into the couch, finally quiet. I looked back at my mom. You once told me you were proud of Emma because she makes a home. What do I make, Mom? What did I ever make for you? She couldn't answer, so I answered for her. I made silence. I made payments. I made it easy for all of you to live the lives you wanted without ever asking what mine looked like. Then I looked around. This house isn't my home. It's a monument to my self-neglect. And with that, I turned. No one stopped me. No one called my name. Not even Emma. I made it halfway to my car before I heard the door slam behind me. Footsteps. Wait, my mom called out. Don't leave like this, you're family. I stopped, but I didn't turn around. She caught up, breathing hard, hands trembling. You can't just walk away, you're family. I finally looked at her. You changed the locks. She whispered. It was a mistake. We were scared. Emma was crying. Your father didn't know what to do. And you? I asked. Her voice cracked. I didn't want to lose everything. I stepped closer. You already did. She reached for my arm. I made you a sandwich. It's in the fridge. Roast beef, your favorite. I blinked, stunned for a moment. A sandwich. That's how you fix this? I asked. You offer me roast beef after letting your daughter steal my identity and calling me dangerous? She burst into tears. You've always been different, quieter, harder to read. We didn't know how to talk to you. Emma, she was easier. I stared at her. There it was. The truth. Raw. Simple. Ugly. You chose her, I said. Over and over again. You still are. She has children, she whispered. So do other criminals, I snapped. It doesn't mean they get a free pass. My father appeared on the porch then, arms crossed. If you walk away now, don't expect to come back. I nodded, slowly. Finally, something we agree on. I opened my car door. He shouted, You're abandoning your family for what? Your pride? I got in and started the engine. For my peace, I said. For once, I'm choosing me. Then I drove away. And I didn't look back. The next morning, I blocked them all. Phone, email, group chats, Venmo, every possible way they could reach me. I packed what little I had and moved out of the city within a week. A friend had offered me their guest house in Oregon, remote, quiet, paid in cash. I accepted without hesitation. 3 days after I moved, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten, from my mother. We miss you. Ellie asks about you every night. Emma is a mess. She's lost so much. Please don't let this go too far. You've always been the strong one. No apology, no remorse. Just another call to save them. I threw it in the trash. Then came the email from the lawyer. We've received word that your parents intend to dispute the mortgage cancellation. They're claiming verbal agreements of co-ownership. Do you have documentation to support your withdrawal? I smiled. Attached were 26 files. Every payment I had ever made. Every message where they referred to me as just helping out. Screenshots of Emma calling the house hers. Texts from Mom saying, "You'll never be responsible for this place long term." Documentation? I had a book. My attorney responded for me. He is under no legal or financial obligation to continue supporting this household. Any attempt to compel financial cooperation will be viewed as harassment. 2 weeks of silence passed. Then, one afternoon, I got a knock at my door. I opened it, expecting a package. It was Mike, Emma's ex. He looked different, thinner, more tired, but clearer, sharper. "Here's what happened. I just wanted to say, you were right," he said. I frowned. About. He shoved his hands in his pockets. "Emma. All of it. I saw the truth a little too late. She chewed me up and spit me out. But you, she bled you dry. And no one ever stood up for you." I didn't answer. He nodded. "Ever need a place? A favor? Anything? You call me. I owe you that much." Then he left. That night, I stood outside, watching the sun dip behind the pines. For the first time in years, my phone didn't buzz.
No one needed money, no one asked for help, no one accused me of selfishness. The silence was so complete it felt holy. I wasn't the villain. I wasn't the ATM. I wasn't the loser. I was free. And for the first time in my life, that was enough. I thought the silence would feel like punishment. It didn't. It felt like peace. The first week after the confrontation, I kept expecting something, a letter, a knock, a trap. But there was nothing. And that nothing was everything. I woke up without tension in my chest. No messages to answer, no fake emergencies, no guilt dripping from a dozen just checking in calls. For the first time in years, my phone was silent, and I felt alive. The sky looked bigger, the air cleaner, even the cheap coffee I made in the tiny Oregon guest house tasted like freedom. But peace has a strange way of exposing the damage left behind. I didn't realize how much of my identity had been wrapped around fixing other people's messes until there were no messes to fix. At first, I just sat. Not in meditation, not in grief, just stunned. For years, I woke up each day and reacted to bills, to needs, to expectations that weren't mine. Now, I had no one to answer to. So I wrote. One morning, I opened my laptop and started typing everything. From the first time my mom told me Emma just needed a little help, to the night they changed the locks. It poured out like wildfire. 37 pages in one sitting. I didn't cry. Not once.
because what I felt wasn't sadness, it was clarity. Every single moment, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the guilt had been real. And now I had it all down in words. It was no longer just in my head, it was truth. Tangible, documented, unshakable. That week, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Kelly, my brother's wife. I heard what happened. I know we've never been close, but I saw the emails Emma sent to your parents. She lied about everything. I stared at it for a long time. Jacob doesn't know I'm texting, but for what it's worth, I'm sorry, and I'm proud of you. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't need it. Their guilt, their late apologies, not my burden anymore. A few days later, I walked into a local hardware store, not because I needed anything, just because I could. No one was depending on me to wire money. No one was calling about overdue balances. An older man behind the counter looked up. "You new in town?" he asked. "Something like that," I replied. We chatted about weather, hiking trails, nothing deep. But as I walked out, I realized something wild. I had a conversation that wasn't transactional. Nobody wanted anything from me. Nobody needed me. And that wasn't sad, it was revolutionary. But of course, the calm never lasts forever. One night, just as I was finishing a sandwich and watching the sunset, I got the email from Emma. "You really think this is over? You think you can walk away like some hero?" I didn't even read the whole thing. It was long, dramatic, full of the usual manipulation, but one sentence stood out. "Mom hasn't stopped crying since you left. Dad won't eat. Ellie asks why you abandoned her." There it was, the final card. Guilt. I closed the laptop and didn't reply. Instead, I walked outside, barefoot on the cold porch, and let the wind hit my face. They were trying everything. Emotional blackmail, nostalgia, even the kids. But it didn't work anymore. Because I finally understood something so simple, it felt like lightning. Their pain is not my responsibility. They created this. They watered the garden that bloomed into this destruction.
I never mailed it. The first few days, I didn't know what to do with myself. I'd wake up early, instinctively check my phone, expecting another emergency, another request, another crisis with family stamped on it. Nothing. No one needed me. And for the first time, that didn't feel like rejection. It felt like oxygen. So I started rebuilding. Not revenge, not a redemption arc, just life. I fixed up the little guest cabin I was staying in, bought a used couch, put together a bookshelf with my own hands, hung up art I actually liked. I went on walks, listened to music, read books that didn't involve finances or trauma recovery. I went grocery shopping and didn't have to calculate whether I could send anything to cover Emma's overdue electric bill. I even started baking. And one night, while burning a batch of banana bread, I laughed out loud for the first time in years. Because there was no one to disappoint, no one to perform for, just me, screwing up and smiling about it. Then came the text I never expected, from Brian, Emma's ex-husband. "I know we haven't talked much, but thank you for what you did, for exposing the truth. I'm out now, for good." I stared at the screen. She said I was crazy, told everyone I was the problem, but after what happened with you, they started asking questions, even your parents. He added, "You may have saved me from a life I didn't even realize I was trapped in." I didn't reply, not because I didn't care, but because I'd finally learned this. I don't owe anyone my peace, not even those I helped. I get to keep it, quietly, fiercely. Another week passed. I took a trip to the coast, slept in a tiny Airbnb with no signal, no TV,
just the waves and my own breathing. On the second morning, I opened my laptop and finished the last page of the story I'd been writing. My story, from beginning to end. I didn't write it for closure. I wrote it to remember, so that if I ever felt the pull to go back, I could read my own words and feel the heat of the fire I escaped. I titled it, When the Family Bank Closes. I printed one copy, just one, framed the last page and hung it on the wall above my desk. I wasn't the villain. I wasn't the backup plan. I was the one who left, and that's why I finally lived. 2 nights later, I got one last letter, not from Mom, not from Emma, but from my uncle, Rob, the only one who ever saw through the mess. You did what most of us only dream of. You drew the line, and you didn't let them step over it. He ended with one sentence. If you ever feel alone, remember, wolves don't run with sheep. I smiled, because he was right. I wasn't abandoned. I chose to leave the pen, and now I run free. Some stories end with explosions. Mine ended with a door that never opened again, and that was the most powerful closure I could have asked for. It's been 4 months. 4 months since I stopped being the family wallet. 4 months since I stopped chasing their approval. 4 months since I stopped answering calls that always came with strings attached. And every day since then, I've felt the difference. At first, it felt like detox, like I was waking up from a long, poisonous dream. The guilt didn't vanish overnight. I still had moments, flashes, where I'd reach for my phone instinctively. Wonder if maybe this time they were really in trouble. If maybe I was being too harsh, too cold, too ungrateful. That's the word they used the most, wasn't it? After all we've done for you. As if parenting me through childhood somehow bought them a lifetime of control. As if choosing not to abuse me should have earned them royalty fees. But the further I got from their voices, the clearer my own became. I started hearing thoughts that didn't come from guilt or fear or duty. You don't owe anyone what costs you your soul. Being useful is not the same as being loved. Silence is a boundary. Keep it. I wrote them down, taped them to my wall, because I knew there would be days when I'd forget. I live differently now. Small, quiet mornings. Coffee made just for me. Books I actually finish. Music I don't have to play over the noise of someone else's crisis. I learned to walk away from conversations that start with, "Can I ask a favor?" I say no and don't explain. It's not rudeness. It's recovery. I don't track birthdays anymore. Don't send obligatory cards. Don't Venmo money for just a little something anymore. My phone used to buzz constantly. Now it doesn't. And that silence used to feel lonely. Now it feels sacred. Because every ding used to mean someone needs me. Now I need me. And I show up. I think about Ellie sometimes. I won't lie. There are nights I replay her letter in my head. Wonder if she thinks I'm cruel. If she believes the lies her mother wrapped around my name. I don't know. But I do know this. Children deserve stability. They deserve safety. And continuing to stay tied to people who manipulate them into guilt is not how I show love. One day, if she grows up and asks, I'll tell her the truth.
Not bitterly, not to turn her against her mother, but so she knows. I didn't leave her. I left the system. And systems are meant to be broken when they serve no one but the powerful. Last week, I opened the drawer where I kept every card they ever sent me. Birthday cards, Father's Day cards addressed to the best son anyone could ask for. Thank you notes scribbled in guilt, not gratitude. I burned them all, one by one. Not out of anger, but because sometimes ashes are the cleanest ending you can give something. The fire was small, controlled, just like me now. They don't call anymore, not even for holidays. Christmas came and went. I didn't send gifts, didn't check social media, didn't wonder if they missed me. Because here's the truth. They don't miss me. They miss the version of me who said yes before they even finished the question. They miss the version of me who never argued, who never set a boundary, who swallowed his anger with a polite nod and pulled out his wallet. That version of me? He's gone, and he's never coming back. I don't know what Emma tells people now. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I abandoned the family. Maybe I snapped. Let her talk, because I'm not playing defense anymore. I don't have to. My truth stands, steady, boring, undeniable. She used my name. My parents defended her. They all pushed me out the second I stopped bleeding for them. And when I walked away, the world didn't end. It began. I used to think that family was everything, that loyalty meant obedience, that love meant sacrifice, that forgiveness was mandatory no matter what they did. Now I know better. Family is not a contract signed at birth. It's not blood. It's not who raised you. It's who respects you. It's who sees you as a person, not a resource. And if they don't, you leave. Not with rage, not with drama, with peace. That's the loudest thing you can ever do. A friend recently asked me, "Do you think you'll ever speak to them again?" I didn't answer right away, because I don't know. Maybe someday they'll change. Maybe Emma will grow up. Maybe my parents will learn to see me as a man, not a bank. But I won't hold my breath. Healing isn't about waiting for an apology that may never come. Healing is what you do when you stop waiting. So no, I don't hate them. I just don't belong to them anymore. Today, I opened a new bank account. I smiled when the banker asked if I wanted to add any authorized users. No, I said, just me. Just me. 2 words I used to fear. 2 words that now feel like a door I finally chose to walk through. No guilt, no debt, no weight. Just me. Here's what I've learned. You are not selfish for saying no. You are not heartless for protecting your peace. You are not a bad son or brother or uncle because you chose to stop bleeding for people who never brought you a bandage. And when they call you cruel, when they say you've changed, smile, say thank you, because you have changed. You got up from the table where love was served with conditions. You said no more, and you walked out whole. That's not cruelty, that's clarity, that's growth. That's the beginning of your real life. Mine started the day they locked the door, and I smiled, because I finally realized I had the key all along.